The wall. I'm sure only one person comes to mind when you hear those two words. The man, the myth, Donald Trump. I don't mean to be too off the wall, and I do apologize for the off the wall puns, but I'm sure we'll all be able to get over it. But the wall isn't the sole subject of this speech. Today, we will be tearing down the wall that Trump so eagerly wants to build. Donald Trump proposed that undocumented immigrants cause the problems of drug trafficking, crime, and so much more. So it's not surprising that when he wants to build a wall between Mexico and the United States, he targets one ethnic group, Hispanics. To tear down Trump's wall, we must address his solution. This is how to make America great again and original. When Trump is asked about various problems in the nation, there's always one constant: the scapegoat. Trump blames undocumented immigrants for the crime rate, for the nation's economic deficit, for just about anything he can logically blame them for. I'm not saying that undocumented immigrants have no influence on it. What I'm saying is that they are definitely not the cause of it. His solution is building a wall along the entire border of Mexico and the United States. That's exactly 1,953 miles long. But this wall isn't going to just magically end illegal immigration. Does Trump honestly believe that building this wall will solve the problem? Is he even aware of the other, more common methods to illegally enter the US? The first is overstaying visas. This is when a person comes to the US as a foreigner with a legal document that allows them to stay for a certain period of time. But once the clock runs out, they're considered an undocumented immigrant. Marco Rubio mentions that 40% of undocumented immigrants in the United States are those who overstay their visa, making it the most common form of illegal immigration. Second, getting smuggled into the country. This is when people are crammed into little compartments that Border Patrol officers often assume people can't hide in. This can range from seats to wheels. Third, going through the hundreds of tunnels and underground systems of inhospitable terrain. These tunnels stretch out for miles, from one side of the border to another. This allows immigrants to cross without much of a risk. Needless to say, a wall is not going to stop people from overstaying their visas. A wall will not stop people from being snuck across the border. A wall will not stop people from crawling under it. And this wall definitely will not solve America's problems nor prevent undocumented immigrants from entering this country. So it seems as if we've hit a wall. On the topic of the wall, solving the country's illegal immigration problems. Sorry, I'll stop this whole breaking the fourth wall cliche. Let's get back to what's most important: breaking the Trump wall. According to New York Times, the wall will cost a total of $70 billion and $150 million a year to maintain. Trump reassured the United States that Mexico will pay for this one way or another. However, Mexico's President Peña Nieto stated, "My position has been and will continue to be very firm, saying that Mexico cannot pay for that wall. Since Mexico won't pay for it, Trump will impose a higher import tax on goods entering the US from Mexico. Not only are we going to build a wall that is ineffective, we are going to be hurting our economy as we do it. If the US persisted with the import tax, many US retailers would suffer the consequences of such a mandate and pass off the costs to US consumers. Ranging from food to transportation, the prices of goods would skyrocket in the United States. This isn't even mentioning the possibility that Mexico's citizens will retaliate by boycotting US companies like Walmart, which in doing so would significantly decrease shares and profits, detrimentally affecting US taxes, jobs, and the economy. Trump believes that Hispanics are the reason for the crime rate in the US, but migration policy debunks that by stating, Out of 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States, less than 3% have committed a felony. Now compare this to the 325 million US citizens. And out of those 325 million citizens, 20.4 million have committed a felony. Now, I don't bring up this statistic to bash or point fingers, but what I want to achieve with this statistic is to demonstrate the simple fact that undocumented immigrants are not the ones at fault for the crime in the nation. And I'm not trying to downplay the gravity of their actions, but Trump harshly stereotypes all undocumented Hispanics as drug traffickers and rapists. A quote provided from the Washington Post reveals Donald Trump stating, "They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists." What about the honest people coming to America trying to make a living for them and their family? Not every single Hispanic who crosses the border is a criminal, but Trump generalizes them as bad people. As the leader of a free nation and the land of opportunity, is that the example he should be setting? If the president can racially stereotype and dehumanize an entire ethnic group, doesn't that make it even more okay for everyday citizens to be doing it? They already suffer these harsh stereotypes, prejudices, and racial remarks in their own land, and possibly everywhere else they go. So they come here to escape it all, to seek shelter from the storm, and yet they are met with distrustful faces and uneasy smiles. Our president isn't just condoning the separation of people, he's endorsing it. Mexico and the US isn't the only thing he is dividing. He's dividing us and breaking loved ones apart. He's creating an atmosphere of racism with hatred and discrimination. He intends to build a wall. A wall is meant to divide. And if the United States of America decides to build a wall, wouldn't we be the divided States of America? Unity is what our country is founded upon. The diversity, the beautiful mix of people and languages. People all over the world come to the United States of America because it is a home. It should be a home. A place with open arms ready to receive and welcome those who need it most. As the inscription at the feet of the Statue of Liberty says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore." America should not be a place where a welcome is actually a goodbye. Not a place where you are greeted with a wall of preconceived opinions and allegations not based on reason or actual experience. The racist atmosphere is impeding people from feeling welcomed. Racism is a problem that cannot be solved through Congress bills or any reforms. Racism is a problem that will be solved through you. The people inside this room, whether you choose to act, whether you decide to take this speech to heart and do something about it. You don't have to be Hispanic to stand up to this discrimination. Look at me. I'm white American, and yet I'm here giving a speech frustrated about the racial discrimination in America. America runs deep with Hispanic roots, planted with the blood, sweat, and tears of the Hispanic people. And I stem from the idea that they are home. Whether they cross that border illegally or not, they are home. As a nation constructed by the fundamental idea that we are the land of opportunity, we are doing one shitty job at actually giving them that chance. And seeing that justice is upheld relies on just a few people taking a stand and speaking up. The only way to cause an explosion is with a single spark. The only way to end this problem is by speaking up. The solution begins right here, right now. This is where the first crack begins. With me. With you. And the more we talk about it, the more that crack grows until eventually Trump's wall falls. So instead of bashing on Trump and doing nothing about it, we as the people need to publicly recognize the problem and go out of our way to say no. That is how it's going to be solved. Ha llegado a ser unidos. Un solo gente. Un solo nación. Porque somos los Estados Unidos. To become united. As one people. As one nation. Because we are the United States of America. And this is how we make America great again.